Hello, and welcome back to Family Secrets Unveiled, where we delve into the most mysterious and complex stories life has to offer. Today, we're going to embark on a tale that even those who lived it found impossible to believe. A story about a woman who woke up from a deep sleep and found a wedding ring on her finger she had never worn, a ring that wasn't hers, yet seemed to be mysteriously tied to her. This isn't a fairy tale, it's a terrifying nightmare, where love, betrayal, and family secrets intertwine, turning an ordinary life into a labyrinth with no escape. Picture this. Her name is Eleanor Vance. She's 42, living in a charming little house in the suburbs of San Francisco. Eleanor's life was simple and peaceful. She was a ceramic artist, spending her days in her small workshop, creating exquisite pieces. Each vase, each plate held a piece of her soul. Eleanor had lived alone since her parents passed away. She had no siblings, no close relatives. She had embraced her single life, finding solace and joy in her work and her solitude. She had never wanted to get married, never dreamt of a white wedding dress or a grand ceremony. Her world was one of clay, glaze, and fire, a world she completely controlled. But then, one morning, everything changed. Eleanor woke up, sunlight streaming through her window. She stretched, and then a cold, heavy feeling on her ring finger jolted her fully awake. She looked down. A ring. A white gold wedding band, embedded with a small diamond that glittered menacingly in the morning light. Her heart pounded. Eleanor didn't wear rings. Her finger was bare. She was certain of it. Last night, she had gone to bed as usual, with nothing out of the ordinary. So, where did this ring come from? She held her hand closer to her face, staring at the strange piece of jewelry. It fit perfectly, as if it had been custom-made for her. A shiver ran down her spine. Had someone broken into her house during the night? A thief? But why would they only leave behind a wedding ring? Why didn't they take anything else? The house was untouched. Everything was in its place. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Maybe she was dreaming a dream that was too vivid. But the ring was still there, cold and real on her finger. She tried to take it off, but it seemed to be stuck to her skin, unmoving. Panic set in. Eleanor couldn't think of any logical explanation. She didn't have a boyfriend, no close friends who would play such a bizarre prank on her. She lived a reclusive life, avoiding any kind of complication. She rushed into the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face. Her reflection in the mirror showed a pale face, wide eyes filled with horror, and the wedding ring glittering on her finger. It didn't disappear. It was real. Even stranger, when she looked closer at the ring, she noticed a single, intricate engraving inside. It was the letter R. Just one single letter. What did R stand for? She didn't know anyone with a name starting with that letter. Then a strange sensation washed over her. It wasn't that she didn't know anyone, but that she couldn't remember anyone. There was a gap in her memory, a dark void. A profound fear overcame Eleanor. This ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a fragment of something much bigger and scarier, something she had been forced to forget. Everything in her small, safe world began to crumble. And she knew this was just the beginning. The wedding ring, though a small object, became the eye of a storm. All day, Eleanor tried to stay calm, but her mind couldn't stop thinking about it. She called an old friend, a jewelry expert, and described the ring. Her friend, a man named David, told her that based on the description, the ring was very expensive, a unique design, possibly custom-made. David asked her, in a curious tone, "Eleanor, did you get married without telling me?" The question was like a dagger to Eleanor. She couldn't explain. She could only lie that it was a gift from a friend. But David didn't believe her. "What about the R inside the ring?" he asked. Eleanor was silent. David added, more seriously, "A ring engraved with an R, and such a special diamond. There's only one person I know who could have made it. A master craftsman who designed wedding rings for the elite, named Robert Finch." The name Robert Finch didn't ring a bell in Eleanor's mind. But then, when she tried to search for the name online, she discovered something shocking. Robert Finch was a famous artisan, but he had died 3 years ago in a mysterious car accident. What terrified her more was that in an old article, Robert Finch was described as the man who could turn rough stones into an eternal love story. Accompanying the article was a blurry photo. A photo of a couple standing in a garden. The woman in the photo was smiling radiantly, wearing a ring identical to the one on Eleanor's hand. And the man next to her, his face was blurry, but his build, his hair, all looked eerily familiar. A chilling sensation spread through Eleanor's body. She had never seen that photo, but she felt as if she had been there, in that garden. A feeling of unexplainable longing and sorrow suddenly welled up inside her. She closed her laptop, trying to shake off the haunting images. But they kept swirling in her head. The ring was a clue, but it led her into a dark labyrinth of a past she couldn't remember. She began to doubt everything. Was the peaceful life she believed in real? Or was it just a play staged to hide a terrible truth? Things got even stranger when she received an anonymous text message on her phone from an unknown number. The message contained just 2 words, expired. Her heart stopped. What had expired? What was it? Her phone vibrated again, another message. Return what isn't yours, or you will pay. Eleanor panicked. She turned off her phone and threw it into a corner. Who was watching her? Who knew about the ring? And most importantly, why did they want her to return it? She decided to do something she never thought she would. She searched through her parents' old belongings. She rummaged through the dusty attic where old mementos were stored. After hours of searching, she found an old diary of her mother's. This diary was her mother's treasure. She had always forbidden Eleanor from touching it. Eleanor flipped through the pages, and then she saw it. A diary entry written 5 years ago. Her mother wrote about a mysterious man, a man who had helped their family during a difficult time. Her mother called him the benefactor. And at the end of the page, her mother wrote a sentence that made the blood in Eleanor's veins freeze. The girl has forgotten. Letting her forget is the only way for her to survive. There were no names, no specific details. But Eleanor knew she was the girl her mother was referring to. The secret had been hidden, not to protect someone else, but to protect her. But from what? The ring on her finger was a painful reminder that oblivion is never permanent. And now, someone had decided it was time for her to remember. Everything gradually became clearer, and Eleanor's fear gave way to determination. She had to find the truth. With David's reluctant help, she went to Robert Finch's address. It was a dilapidated, old house on the outskirts of the city. Inside, an elderly woman with suspicious eyes opened the door. Her name was Martha, Robert's mother. She looked at Eleanor, and her gaze fell on the ring on her finger. Martha's face changed. "What are you here for?" she asked in a trembling voice. Eleanor recounted the story of the ring and her memory loss. Martha quietly led her into a room where Robert Finch's final works were displayed. She said, "That ring, it was my son's last creation. He made it for the girl he loved, a girl named Eleanor." Eleanor's heart seemed to stop. Martha continued, her voice choked. "Robert Finch didn't die in an accident. It was a murder. And the perpetrator was a man of great power, someone the Finch family had once served. His name was Arthur Sterling, a wealthy and powerful tycoon. Robert had discovered a terrible secret about Arthur, and he didn't hesitate to act. What was that secret? It was that Arthur Sterling had staged an accident to eliminate his business rival, and that rival was Eleanor's father. The truth hit her like a thunderbolt. Her parents hadn't died in an accident. They had been murdered. Eleanor's memories began to return, little by little. Images of a car accident, the blaring sound of ambulance sirens, the face of a man standing near the scene. He was Arthur Sterling. She had witnessed everything. She had planned to expose him, but then a mysterious hand had intervened. Her mother's hand. Her mother had begged Arthur to spare her daughter's life. In return, Arthur would erase her memory of the incident and arrange a new life for her, a peaceful life, without a hint of suspicion. In exchange, she had to live under the guise of a single person, never to marry anyone, especially not Robert Finch, who knew too many of Arthur's secrets. A feeling of betrayal surged through Eleanor. Her mother had hidden the truth to protect her, but had also unknowingly turned her into a puppet in Arthur Sterling's hands. The ring on her finger was Robert's vow, his promise to marry her. But it was also a reminder that she had been deceived, stripped of the life she was supposed to have. The R wasn't just the first letter of Robert's name, but also the first letter of a secret, a curse she had to carry. In a moment of terror, Eleanor's phone vibrated. This time it wasn't a text message. It was a call. A deep, cold voice spoke. "You've gone where you shouldn't have, Eleanor. Now you know why that ring is so valuable, don't you? It's the key to everything you've lost. And now, it's time for you to give it back." It was Arthur Sterling. He had been watching her, waiting for her to fall into his trap. He didn't want the ring for its material value, but because it contained a secret powerful enough to topple his entire empire. The ring wasn't a wedding ring. It was a cleverly disguised USB drive. And inside it was the evidence of Arthur Sterling's crimes, evidence that Robert Finch had hidden before he died. Eleanor stood there, the ring on her hand, and she knew she was holding her own fate and the fate of those who had been murdered. She had to decide whether to continue living in safe oblivion or to face the truth and find justice for her family. Eleanor was faced with a difficult choice. Arthur Sterling had given her a last chance. Hand over the ring, and he would let her live in peace, the life he had arranged for her. But she knew that peace was just a lie. She couldn't live with the truth that her parents had been murdered, and that her life had been taken from her just to hide the crimes of a ruthless man. She had made her choice. She had to fight. Eleanor contacted a lawyer David had recommended, a specialist in complex criminal cases. She told him the whole story, showed the lawyer the ring, and explained about the hidden USB. The lawyer advised her to stay silent and not do anything foolish. Arthur Sterling was too powerful. But Eleanor was no longer afraid. Fear had been replaced by rage. She took the ring off herself. She used a special tool to open it, and inside, a tiny USB drive fell out. Her hands trembled as she held it, but not out of fear, because she knew she was holding justice in her hands. When she plugged the USB into her computer, images, videos, and documents began to appear. It was irrefutable evidence of Arthur Sterling's crimes. A series of murders, bribes, and market manipulations. Everything had been carefully documented by Robert Finch. He didn't just love her, he also trusted that she would be the only one who could protect that secret. He had created the ring, a sentimental object to ensure she would never throw it away, and a hidden USB inside as a message that the truth was always close, just waiting to be discovered. Eleanor handed over all the evidence to the police and the lawyer. The case was reopened. Arthur Sterling was arrested, his empire crumbled. His accomplices didn't escape either. The truth was brought to light, not just about the death of Eleanor's parents, but also about the other terrible crimes he had committed. Eleanor had brought justice for her parents, and also for Robert Finch. But what about her life? She had won her life back, but it was a life full of scars. The wedding ring, a symbol of an unfulfilled love, was now a painful memento. It reminded her of a man who had loved her so deeply. He was willing to sacrifice everything to protect her and expose the crime. Eleanor kept the ring, not as a piece of jewelry, but as a vow. A vow to live a full life, no longer deceived or hidden, a life she chose for herself. She returned to her pottery studio, but this time, every piece she made wasn't just a vase, but a story. Each piece carried a part of her memory, a part of her pain, and a part of her liberation. She was no longer afraid of the past because she had faced it and overcome it. Eleanor's story is a reminder that family secrets are never truly buried. They just wait to be discovered, and when they are found, they can change your life forever. Sometimes a small, seemingly harmless object is the key to unlocking a door to a terrifying truth. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about the secrets your family might be hiding, leave a comment below. And if you want to discover more mysterious stories, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the Family Secrets Unveiled channel so you don't miss any of our stories. See you in the next video.